The Asia Pacific Rally Championship is a 7-round series beginning in the South Pacific, with events in New Caledonia, New Zealand and Australia, before moving to Asia and tackling events in Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia and finally in China. With such a diverse range of countries, cultures and climates, there's always plenty of action and drama. So sit back and watch how the competitors tackle the unique challenges of the 2007 Asia Pacific Rally Championship. It's the start of the year, and the big news is the formation of a new team. Based in Singapore, the Motor Image Subaru Rally team has signed last year's Asia Pacific champion Cody Crocker and navigator Ben Atkinson to drive its #1 car.
I've signed a 2-year deal with them, so looking forward to a good future at least. And we've got some old members of the team still there. Possum-Ball Motorsport is still building the car and looking after the team and running the car. So that's a great thing as well, because we've run with them since '98. So always had fantastic cars.
Crocker's teammate for 2007 is Indonesian driver Rifat Sungkar.
The car is awesome. Maybe this is the best rally car I ever driven.
The Motor Image team elects to skip the first round in New Caledonia, as competitors only need enter 6 of the 7 rounds to qualify. Nevertheless, there is still a good entry for the first Pacific event, including 2005 APRC champion Jussi Välimäki from Finland. He returns after a year competing in the WRC.
We were in World Championships on 06, and I think that it's just too expensive and too difficult, and it's also almost impossible to get the winning car from some teams, so that's why we are here. The atmosphere is lots better than in the World Championship, so it's very enjoyable, this series.
His teammate for 2007 is Japanese driver Katsu Taguchi, the APRC champion in 1999. Countryman Hiroshi Yanagisawa returns in the Cusco Subaru, looking to improve on a strong second in last year's championship. This year, 2 Indian drivers join the series, MRF's Gaurav Gill and 6-time Indian champion Niran Kumar. After a traditional island welcome and a ceremonial start in downtown Noumea, the cars head to the first 2 stages, a super special around the horse racing track or hippodrome. The competition is intense, but Välimäki just pips teammate Taguchi to lead by 1 second. Equal third are the 2 Indian drivers, Gill and Kumar. Next day, the event shifts 200 kilometres north of Noumea to the small town of Poya, and after an early morning start, a chance for the drivers to catch up with the morning newspapers before the real action begins.
Only small.
That action amounts to 3 stages run 3 times over fast, undulating roads with many blind crests. The total distance for the leg is 156 kilometres. It's Välimäki who's immediately on the pace, winning the first stage and extending his lead on Taguchi by 10 seconds. Yanagisawa is third and still adapting to the unusual New Caledonian roads. Next up are locals Patrick Yanai and Jean-Louis Leroux, then Kumar. He's taking time to learn the car and the conditions, unlike countryman Gill, who goes too fast too soon and has a huge crash.
We just came over the crest, it went a little wide, hit a bank, and then from there on it just rolled down the hill and come to a stop on a tree.
On the 25-kilometre stage 4, Taguchi comes alive and, using his prior knowledge of the many tricky and flat-out crests, wins the stage by 13 seconds. He moves 3 seconds in front of his teammate. He edges further and further ahead, and so by the end of day, he's opened a gap of 24 seconds on Välimäki. Yanagisawa shadows the MRF pair and holds a comfortable third until a slight off on stage 9 damages the rear suspension. The Japanese crew makes roadside repairs but drops more time in stage 10 then limps back to service, where the Cusco crew rebuilds and repairs the Subaru. The time lost drops Yanagisawa to 5th, 4 minutes and 19 seconds behind leader Taguchi. The Japanese driver's demise allows local Leiro into 4th and Yanai up to 3rd. Indian Rally champion Kumar is 6th, a little disappointed to be off the pace, but taking a wait-and-see approach. Tomorrow is another day. The first stage of Leg 2 has a formidable reputation. Catricorn is 28 kilometres of tight, twisty mountain road, and under the canopy of trees there's expected to be some very slippery patches. Valimaki and Taguchi make radically different tyre choices, Taguchi going for a cut dry while Valimaki opts for muds, yet neither driver is quickest. Yanagisawa is fastest, on a charge to close in on the top 3. The lead does change. Valimaki's choice of mud tyres seems to have been the correct one, and he leaps to the front, heading Taguchi by 3 seconds. Behind, the battle for 3rd is hotted up, with Yanai, Yanagisawa and Leiro all within 9 seconds of each other. Partway through the final Catricorn test, Leiro gets a radio message to say he's into 3rd place, but in that moment of lost concentration, he crashes out. Yanagisawa goes flying by, only to also crash out soon after this. So it's all change at the front as Kumar is rewarded for his patience and is promoted to 3rd of the APRC contestants. Valimaki extends his lead, finishing 19 seconds ahead of Taguchi.
Yes, I think that we did excellent tyre choice today, especially when we had this long stage, and we thought with the co-driver that it will be damp still, and our mud tires worked perfectly. So I think that's mostly the reason why we were that fast. And also the car and the suspension works better with these tires. So today I was very confident about what we are doing there.
New Zealand is the next event, this year shifting to Whangarei in Northland, an area known for its beaches and warm climate. There's also a good entry, with Motor Image launching its Asia Pacific campaign with reigning title holder Cody Crocker and Rifat Sunkar. Yanagisawa's car has been repaired since his crash in New Caledonia.
Must beat Cody.
Team Rally India and Naran Kumar are looking for more speed. The APRC regulars are joined by a fleet of cars from New Caledonia, Japan, and of course some very quick locals. Even though he has a brand new car and has had very little testing, Crocker quickly moves into the lead, despite the fact he's first on the road and is sweeping the gravel for the rest of the field. Yanagisawa slots in behind, but he's having trouble finding a rhythm on the sometimes slippery surface. Nevertheless, the Japanese driver holds a safe second. Behind, there's a battle for 3rd between Kiwi veteran Brian Green, Jean-Louis Leiro from New Caledonia, and Rifat Sunkar. A very disappointed Kumar loses 4th gear on the opening stage, and a puncture compounds the Indian driver's problems. Any hope of finishing on the podium is all but gone. At the head of the field though, Crocker is setting a blistering pace, and in the afternoon stages, a second pass over the same roads, the Australian enjoys the smooth, fast and flowing New Zealand roads. Yanagisawa is still second in the Cusco Subaru, set-up changes in the afternoon having increased his pace. But he's fallen nearly 1.5 minutes behind Crocker by the end of the leg. Sunkar moves into 3rd spot, taking a few risks as this close shave with the fence post shows. But he does enough to finish the day 3.6 seconds in front of Leroux. In the Motor Image Subaru camp, they're very pleased to have 2 cars in the top 3. Not a bad way for a new team and sponsor to start its 2007 Asia Pacific campaign.
Yeah, it's been great. We have first and third overall today, and it's a great result, especially for Rifat, who it's his first time driving a Subaru, and I think that's a sign of things to come.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 300.
Crocker starts day 2 with a healthy lead, but he's given a sharp reminder on the first corner of the first stage that he must keep his concentration up on these very fast but slippery roads.
Into 5 right and 6 left mid.
Even though he's a long way behind Crocker, Yanagisawa's never give up style means he keeps pushing. But the Cusco driver also finds the roads very slippery on the first run. While the other Subaru drivers race ahead, Sungkar runs into trouble on stage 12 with a lack of power steering. He drops a lot of time and Leroux comes within 4 seconds of taking back third spot. With his gearbox repaired, Kumar sets top 4 times, but he's so far down the order that his only hope is to score some bonus points for the day. In the Kiwi camp, it's all action. After setting the fastest overall time on stage 11, Emma Gilmore flies over a blind crest, runs out of road and launches her Subaru 100 metres down a bank.
It's just a simple mistake, just probably an error in the notes, just on recce. It was probably called it a little bit too fast and just come over the crest, and Emma's turned in perfectly on the line to what she thought the corner was, and it was a tiny bit tighter. And when you're that committed over a crest, she went off the road basically on the line that she thought the road was going on, and so a mistake by both of us on the pace notes.
American driver Ken Block crashes out as well, down a bank and through a fence.
At least she landed on the wheels, you know.
In the Asia Pacific field, there are no such dramas. Kumar making it to the finish in 5th, but short of the fairy tale finish he had in New Caledonia. For 61-year-old Brian Green, 4th is an excellent finish. He knows these roads very well. Despite his problems earlier in the day, Sungkar brings his car home in 3rd, a great podium on his first drive for Motor Image. 2nd position is filled by Yanagisawa, happy to secure a useful haul of points and some consolation for his DNF in the previous round. It's Subaru celebrations all around after another faultless drive from Crocker and Atkinson.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to get maximum points. We got the bonus points as well, so we've got a nice 16-point start to the season and looking forward to the rest of it.
Australia hosts round 3 at the Rally of Canberra, based in the nation's capital. It's the first event in 2007 where 3 former Asia Pacific champions will compete against each other, Taguchi, Valimaki and Crocker. But Crocker is also a 3-time Australian champion, and on his home event he's going to be tough to beat.
And of course, the Cody is very fast. Even you see, he's also very fast too. So I think we had a very good race, and we have to flat out all the time.
We are going to challenge Cody in a big way here, and I like the stages, and I think our car will fit on these stages very, very well.
It's quite a fast rally, quite slippery in places as well, so you've got to be sort of on the ball there and not let yourself run wide, and a lot of that fine gravel gets swept off the road, and then you've got a good line, but just off the road's very, very slippery right off the line.
After the start ceremony in central Canberra, the competitors go directly to a night stage. There are no surprises as Crocker wins the 10-kilometre test by 3.8 seconds from Taguchi. Next day, the event begins in earnest. Crocker is first away, but he's not quickest through the 21-kilometre Oakey Creek stage. That honour is Taguchi's, albeit by just 0.8 of a second. Canberra's infamous mineshaft stage is next, and again it's Taguchi on the pace, 1.5 seconds quicker over the 10k test and narrowing the gap to Crocker to just 1.4 seconds.
Katsu got us by about half a second or more on the first stage there, so it's going to be a good fight.
Very slippery.
Yeah.
But going well.
Yeah, good times. Cody was a bit surprised you beat him this morning.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Very good. I think tire compound working very well.
After 3 stages, Valimaki is third, 26 seconds behind Taguchi and unable to work out why he's so far off the pace. Sunkar punctures midway through the stage and loses over a minute to the leaders, falling to 5th in the APRC. With Sunkar's problems, Kumar moves up a spot into 4th. On the next set of stages, Crocker puts the hammer down, and by stage 6 has edged 18 seconds ahead of Taguchi. Valimaki is falling further behind and is now 40 seconds off Crocker's time. Sunkar and Kumar are still scrapping over 4th place, with the Indonesian driver taking the position back. In the late afternoon stages, Crocker moves further ahead of Taguchi, but somewhere on the long east-west stage, the Motor Image driver hits something that bends a steering arm. On the final stage of the day, Crocker finds that his Subaru won't steer and he's forced to slow up in the dark, allowing Taguchi to narrow the gap to 15.5 seconds.
Finish. 11:24.
The following morning, Crocker is fired up and ready to make up the lost time. He wins the first 2 stages and restores his lead on Taguchi to 32 seconds.
Clip into Care Crest and easy 7 left, 50. Slow Brow 40, 2 left.
On the repeat run through the mineshaft stage, Sunkar approaches the 40-metre jump with a touch too much speed and gives himself and co-driver Hiru Mohammed a big scare as they fly over the crest, landing almost at the bottom.
The scariest moment in my life. We enjoy it.
Lower down the order, Peter Jerry's has complete brain fade. With the finish in sight, Naran Kumar settles for 5th place, a bit disappointed to be off the pace of the leaders. Sunkar is a happy 4th, especially after his big scare. In the final stages, Valimaki set several fastest times, but it's too late, and the Finn finishes in 3rd spot, 1 minute behind teammate Taguchi. Crocker and Atkinson win their home event by 1 minute and 3 seconds, but the Aussie pair are lucky and Errant Kangaroo decides not to cross the road only metres before the final finish control.
For once I can say to you, Cody, it wasn't an easy win.
I bet you like this. It's been an awesome fight. It's been a great weekend, and fortunately we're on top again, and I guess that was pretty critical for us, this event being our home event. My home event, we must win and must get maximum points. So we go to Katsu's territory next, so we wanted to have a good jump up here.
Hokkaido, Japan is the first of 4 Asian events in the APRC calendar, and the stages in Japan's most northern island present unique challenges.
Yeah, actually, Japan, the road is quite fast, but the road is very, very narrow. And once maybe you off about 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters off the little bit is a line, so suddenly the car is lost control.
The situation is that now we must start to win these rallies and win both the days. We need now 2 wins all 4 days, so then we are equal with Cody. That's the plan.
Definitely got to listen to the notes here. Like the long stage is probably 75% it'll be in top gear, so it's fast all the way.
What did you first think when you saw these roads?
Very fast, very narrow, and yes, it is a big challenge. It definitely is a big challenge, and yes, we are looking forward to it.
Hokkaido is also host to a World Rally Championship round later in the year, and the organisers know how to put on a great show for the many spectators and rally fans. The first stage is designed specifically for spectators, a short, spectacular 2.73 kilometre blast through the pine trees called Rikubetsu. That sees Taguchi take an early lead, but just 0.3 of a second ahead of an equally quick Yanagisawa in the Cusco Subaru.
Flippy 6 left.
Next up are 2 forestry stages, and here Crocker stamps his authority on the event. After 48 kilometres and 3 stages, the Australian has an 11-second lead over Taguchi.
5 right, 40.
Stage 2 is a disaster for Yanagisawa, the Japanese driver getting a puncture 7 kilometres into the test. With the tyre disintegrating, the crew is forced to stop and change the wheel mid-stage. He drops to the back of the field, nearly 5 minutes behind Crocker. With nothing to lose, Yanagisawa attacks on stage 3, winning the stage outright, and by the lunchtime service has hauled himself from 29th to 12th overall and 8th in the APRC. The battle between Subaru and Mitsubishi continues throughout the afternoon, with Crocker inching further ahead, and by stage 7, the gap to Taguchi is 30.5 seconds. Throughout this first leg, Kiwi Brian Green has stayed out of trouble, and he's 10th overall, 7th in the APRC. Rifat Sunkar finishes the day 6th in the APRC and 7th overall, but has a close call on stage 7, narrowly missing a wild deer.
Right, just a danger, 2 left, narrow, 50. Joking, 50, 5 left.
Yanagisawa wins both forestry stages outright to recover from 29th after stage 2, finishing the leg 6th overall and 5th in the APRC. Naran Kumar has been on the limit and sometimes beyond, regularly setting top 4 stage times. The India Rally champion is 4th and hopefully can stay ahead of Yanagisawa, who's a minute and a half behind. MRF's Valimaki and Taguchi have pushed hard all day. Taguchi on the pace in the morning, but a bad choice of tyres in the afternoon has allowed Crocker to extend his lead to 31.4 seconds. Crocker and his team have got the motor-owned Subaru working extremely well, handling the heavy metal in the morning and the rougher conditions in the afternoon.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous coming into this event, being Katsu and Hiroshi's home event, so I sort of thought if we could stay with those guys, we'll be wrapped. And Hiroshi put in some great times today, but unfortunately had the flat tyre sort of put him back a bit. But yeah, Katsu and I have had a great fight, and fortunately we came out on top and get those 3 bonus points, which is all important at the moment.
On leg 2, Crocker and Yanagisawa continue to set the pace. Crocker taking the first stage by 0.6 of a second, and then Yanagisawa fastest on the 29-kilometre, very fast stage 10. With the Subarus setting the pace in the morning stages, Crocker extends his lead to 45 seconds over Taguchi. And with the overall positions virtually settled, the battle now is for bonus points. With the repeated stages cutting up badly, Brian Green eases off to finish 10th overall and 7th in the APRC. Sunkar has spent the event learning new pace notes from experienced co-driver Bill Hayes and is happy to finish 6th. Kumar drops to 5th, preferring to slow up over the very rough and rutted afternoon stages. For Cusco driver Yanagi Sawa, it's been a case of what might have been. The puncture really did kill any hopes of a good result, but since then he's driven his heart out to recover from 29th to 4th overall. For MRF Mitsubishi, the event has been a disappointment, and the championship driver's title is in danger of slipping out of its grasp. Even with a new team and new sponsor, the dominant Crocker and Atkinson look like continuing their 2006 form, leaving Japan with a 14-point advantage over Taguchi and 16 points clear of Valimaki in the Drivers' Championship.
Steering wheel attendant, that's my job. So we're really happy, and Ben did a great job as well this weekend. He's so professional, and these roads are very, very tricky and very technical, and there's no way I could sit there and be a co-driver. First of all, I wouldn't sit beside me, but to be able to call the notes the way he does, and the timing is just perfect, so it's fantastic, and all of the team just works together, and it comes together in the end.
The Malaysian Rally is next up, in the first of 2 very hot Asian events. But there's still a full entry of APRC competitors keen to take up the challenge. Based in Johor Bahru, just over the causeway from Singapore, the event attracts entries from 2 former World Production Car champions. Toshi Arai from Japan and local star Karamjit Singh. Neither driver is eligible for APRC points though. After the first stage, it looks like the event is in for a great fight. Crocker and Valimaki are separated by only 1 second. But the event loses one of its main contenders when Yanagi Sawa has a major accident, smashing his Subaru against a tree. Neither of the crew is hurt, but they're out of the rally. Unfortunately, Singh doesn't make it through the morning either. Engine problems in stage 4, forcing the former champion to withdraw. But he does promise to return for more events in 2008. At the halfway point of leg 1, Rifat Sunkar has edged his Motorhome and Subaru 6 seconds in front of Team Rally India driver Naran Kumar. After discovering a major error in his pace notes on stage 3, Valimaki drops time and is 2 seconds behind Taguchi. But after only 4 stages, the MRF drivers are off the pace, 51 seconds behind the Flying Crocker, with the Aussie now also leading overall. His Subaru teammate Arai is second, 8 seconds behind. The challenge of the Malaysian Rally is its radically different conditions. Conditions that can change from one corner to the next. After heavy afternoon rain, that's exactly what the competitors face on stages 7 and 8. Crocker feels his pace is so slow that he adjusts his rear vision mirror. He's so sure that Arai is going to catch him. But Arai is having his own problems in the mud, and Crocker wins the stage by 7 seconds. Further back, Brian Green is enjoying the more slippery conditions, happy to take a wait-and-see approach, although by the end of the leg he's 7th and nearly 9 minutes off Crocker's pace. After his big accident in New Caledonia, India's Gaurav Gill has returned to the APRC happy to go for mileage rather than speed, and is sitting in 6th place. Sunkar hasn't gone so well in the final slippery stages, and he drops 8 seconds behind arch-rival Kumar, who moves into 4th. After leading the event early on, Valimaki has had a day to forget and is feeling that the championship is all but over, with the gap to Crocker 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Taguchi has fared little better in the final stages and is now 1 minute off the lead.
Tough rally today. The temperature very hot and also road conditions going to change very quickly. So it's not so easy.
Crocker has again proved what a great all-rounder he is, handling the heat and the changing conditions.
No, it's been an exceptional day for us. You know, everything's gone according to plan. No spins, a few slight overshoots, but the conditions just turned shocking this afternoon. With the mud, it was just amazing. The last 2 stages, again up there with some of the most slippery stages I've ever driven. And it was just the mud doesn't change colour, so you've got no indication that it's slippery or not slippery. In some corners, you end up just driving around because they've actually got a lot of grip, and it's really a bit of guesswork. And we sort of guessed it right most of the time, and managed to get through the rest of it. So we're really, really wrapped.
Day 2 of Malaysia is a turning point in the championship. The 3-car Motor Image team starts the leg by setting equal fastest times. Crocker, Arai and Sungkar all clocking 6 minutes and 50 seconds. But Sungkar's day takes a sharp turn for the worst on the next test, when he punctures near the start, requiring a mid-stage wheel change. He plunges down the leaderboard, his rally-long battle with Kumar over. On the same stage, Green has this off-road excursion that coaxes his Mitsubishi back onto the road. Only later does he find out just how lucky he is to be able to keep going.
That's it. You're going to get out. You're going good. Keep going. Keep going. Yes, well done.
Another driver in trouble is Gill, firstly with a puncture, then losing more time with a diff problem. But he is at least still running, unlike his 2 MRF teammates. Taguchi and Valimaki are out, with identical rear differential breakages.
So both me and Taguchi. Yes.
MRF Tyres team manager Lane Heenan tells the story.
Yeah, both cars have damaged the rear diff, so we'll have to investigate into it and see why, but it seems to be they've both got about the same amount of life on them, so maybe we've just found the end of the life.
The major benefactor is Naran Kumar, who leaps from 4th to 2nd in the APRC.
So what did you think when you saw those MRF cars?
Well, I didn't realise what our position was at that point, and we just finished the stage, and then is when we realised that we've climbed up to 2nd. Yeah.
Sungkar too is now looking at a podium finish, but there's still a cruel twist in store for the young Indonesian. A tightening right-hander catches out the Motor Image driver. And while the damage looks terminal, he and co-driver Hiru Muhammad carry out makeshift repairs and set about driving the severely damaged Subaru through the remaining stages and back to service. While many other drivers would have just parked it, somehow they make the 17 kilometres on 3 wheels, clocking in with 30 seconds to go before maximum lateness. The Motor Image mechanics work their magic to rebuild the car and get it to the finish. It's a fantastic moment for the team and the crew when they finally make it over the podium back at Danga Bay, taking 4th place.
Of course, it's a big disappointment for us because we just lost the 3rd position for the title. But for sure, it's a rally. We never give up and we never crack under pressure. So next rally is my hometown. Hopefully we can score a better point.
Ryan Green and Fleur Pedersen survived one of the APRC's toughest events to finish 3rd. Naran Kumar and Jeff Judd have driven an intelligent event, staying out of trouble and earning a deserved 2nd place. It's another win though for Cody Crocker and Ben Atkinson, their 11th APRC victory on the trot. The Subaru pair only need 4 points to wrap up their 2nd Asia Pacific title.
The non-alcoholic sparkling has been used.
Indonesia Rally is the next challenge, and while it's less humid than Malaysia, it is hotter and drier. With the Drivers' Championship virtually decided in favour of Crocker, his rival's challenge here is to end the Australians' winning streak and to salvage the Manufacturers' Championship. That's still very close, with Subaru on 68 points, just ahead of Mitsubishi on 62. Valimaki attacks with a vengeance, winning the first stage by 5 seconds, ahead of local Rifat Sungkar. The MRF Mitsubishis are on the pace, with Taguchi winning stage 2. On his home event, Sungkar is very fast, and after 2 stages, he's second, and only 7 seconds behind leader Valimaki. But then Sungkar's year-long run of bad luck continues. A puncture near the start of stage 3 requires a mid-stage change, dropping him 3 minutes behind the leaders.
Kanan 3 plus medium, in 3 narrow. Ya. Oke, cepat. Ya.
With Sungkar's demise, Crocker moves into the top 3 for the first time, and by the lunchtime break he's only 3 seconds away from second place Taguchi. Yanagisawa is comfortably in 4th, but finding the hot conditions very difficult to manage.
Too hot? Yes. Well, very.
Behind is a battle between the Indian drivers, Gaurav Gill enjoying the roads, while Naran Kumar has fitted new brakes that are working a little too well. He's 6th. Brian Green gets a puncture on the morning stages, and the time lost lets Sungkar move back into 7th spot. The top 3 continue their battle, and in stage 5 Taguchi and Crocker set identical times. But Valimaki is 7 seconds faster than both of them, even though he has to negotiate the local sugarcane fires.
Ei vittu. Hirra ja 2 sieltä oikein. Helppo yli. 3 ja vasen K. Vittu sentää. 4. Missä se on? Ja
Stage 6 is long and fast, but midway through Crocker punctures, and even though he drives out on the flat tyre, he loses 3 minutes. Worse is yet to come for the championship leader. Another puncture on the last stage of the day drops the Subaru driver 4.5 minutes behind Valimaki, and to within 4 seconds of Kumar and 11 seconds of a recovering Sungkar.
So obviously we don't want to aim for 6. We aim for 4 points today, and we missed by 4 points. So, we'll just try and get through tomorrow and make sure we just get it right, and probably be a little bit neater and tidier. Maybe I was pushing on a little bit after UC sort of destroyed us in the first few stages. We had to keep our pace up, and maybe that's where I went wrong. Maybe I was pushing a bit too hard over some of the jumps and things. But normally we can go flat out, but it's just so rough here that we've succumbed to the rocks in the road.
Yanagisawa has played a waiting game throughout the day, happy in 3rd and waiting to see what happens to the front runners. Taguchi is 57 seconds behind Valimaki, who today has dominated from start to finish and is on track to take his 2nd win of the season.
So far we haven't got any problems. I have to knock the wood, but it has been a very good day for us, and our pace notes good, and as I see 2005, very similar stages.
Crocker starts leg 2 in the knowledge that his current 5th place will give him enough points to wrap up the championship. But with Kumar and Sungkar only a few seconds behind, the Australian pushes hard from the first stage of the day. Within 3 stages, Crocker widens the gap to Kumar to 56 seconds. But Kumar and Sunkar are having their own battle over 6th, with Sunkar slowly gaining on the Indian champion, and by stage 11 the gap is only 11 seconds. That battle comes to an end on stage 12, with Kumar retiring with a broken differential. A sad end to a great championship for the Team Rally India driver. Kumar's retirement promotes Brian Green to 7th, and he holds that spot to the finish. 6th is not the position that Sunkar expected on his home rally, but at least he has the consolation of winning the Indonesian National Championship round, part of the same event. Gaurav Gill has had a few technical problems on the final day, but he brings his MRF Mitsubishi home in 4th, his best finish of the year. Japan's Yanagi Sawa once again finishes on the podium and earns valuable points for Subaru in the Manufacturers' Championship. After the disaster of Malaysia, MRF Mitsubishi takes top points, with Taguchi second and Valimaki winning by over 1 minute and 41 seconds. First and second places brings Mitsubishi to within 2 points of Subaru in the Manufacturers' Championship. For the first time in 11 events, Crocker has been denied the win, but he can still celebrate as his 5th spot is enough to secure the championship, providing he crosses the start ramp at the final round in China. China provides an opportunity for a different type of competition, dragon boat racing on the river in the host city of Longyu. And while it's supposed to be just for fun, the drivers, organisers and international media take it pretty seriously. The build-up to the start ceremony sees thousands of rally fans gather at a local stadium, where Crocker and Atkinson duly cross the line to officially become the 2007 Asia Pacific Rally Championship Drivers and Co-Drivers Champions for a second year.
Go. We're there.
There's no time to celebrate though, as the competitors go straight to stage 1, a super special where the cars go head-to-head, 2 at a time. Fastest around the 2.1k stage is Katsu Taguchi, and next day the Japanese driver increases that lead during the first real test of the China Rally in the mountains south of Longyu. After the first set of stages, Taguchi has a 4.7 second lead over Crocker. Yanagi Sawa is third, 16 seconds behind Taguchi. Fourth is Gaurav Gill, and Crocker's Motor Image teammate Rifat Sunkar is fifth. Jussi Valimaki has dropped over a minute to the leaders after his engine mysteriously cut out on stage 2. On the second run through the stages, the event loses 2 of its Subaru stars. Third place Yanagi Sawa pulling out with a broken engine. Sunkar is pushing to catch Gill and stay ahead of Valimaki when a deep hole in the road catches the Motor Image driver out. Crocker reverses Subaru's bad luck by catching and passing Taguchi for the lead, and after stage 7 opens up a gap of 17 seconds. For the final set of stages of the leg, Taguchi decides to put the hammer down. pushing his Mitsubishi hard as he races through the mountain villages, but just too hard. Taguchi is stuck fast and is out of the rally, leaving Crocker with a healthy lead, and victory is handed to Crocker on a plate when the remaining MRF Mitsubishis also retire with fuel and computer problems.
And right into 4 left, 5 right, clip.
The only other APRC competitor still remaining is Kiwi Brian Green, for this event competing with the Chinese-based Wanyu Rally team. The next day's stages are treacherous, but with no pressure on either competitor, both Crocker and Green can simply drive for a finish. Green's second position promotes him to 4th in the APRC Drivers' Championship. Crocker again proves that to win, first you must finish.
Well, first of all, we got the drivers, and that was great. That was the main aim for this year, but we still had only a 2-point lead in the Manufacturers' Championship, so we had to win the rally here. And now that's finished and it's done, so that we're just absolutely stoked about that. We couldn't have done any better, and that's a tribute to the whole team.
Motor Image have been fantastic. They're really taken rallying on board, and if you see their dealership, you realise how important the rallying is to them.
At the beginning of this year, me and Cody hardly knew each other, but I think we've had a great year together, and I look forward to working with him next year. And this has been a really, really fantastic year. I never dreamed that I could reach this point.
China wraps up another great year in the APRC. The first round in 2008 will again be the Rally of New Caledonia on April 15.